sacred silence within ourselves, a place where clarity, courage, and purpose reside, waiting patiently to be heard. This book is not simply a collection of thoughts or philosophies, it is a quiet conversation between the reader and their truest self, guided by a voice that does not shout, but gently whispers, "You already know." The core message of the inner voice is rooted in the belief that within each of us exists a deep well of wisdom, a knowing that transcends logic, circumstance, and even fear. This inner voice is not dramatic, nor is it fueled by ego. It is still, patient, and unwavering. It is the part of us that remembers who we are when the world has made us forget. Many people go through life never truly listening to this voice, distracted by external expectations, chasing approval, and avoiding discomfort. But the book reminds us, sometimes through moving personal stories, sometimes through quiet reflections, that the voice is always there, just beneath the surface, gently guiding us back home. One of the most powerful insights offered in the inner voice is the idea that silence is not empty, it is full of answers. A culture that glorifies busyness, where every moment is filled with noise, screens, and endless to-do lists. But the author suggests that the most important guidance we will ever receive will come not in the midst of that chaos, but in the stillness. Think of the times when your heart knew the truth before your mind could explain it. Maybe you felt a pull to leave a job that looked perfect on paper but felt wrong in your gut. Maybe you ended a relationship not because something dramatic happened, but because something inside whispered, "This is not your path anymore." These are moments when the inner voice breaks through the noise. The book urges us to create space for these moments, to sit in quiet, to ask our questions, and then to listen. Another key message woven throughout the narrative is that the inner voice often leads us not where it is easiest, but where it is truest. Following it requires bravery. It may ask us to let go of what is familiar, to risk judgment, or to choose authenticity over approval. The author shares stories of individuals who made difficult, soul-led decisions, like the musician who walked away from a lucrative contract to preserve his artistic integrity, or the single mother who turned down a stable corporate job to pursue her calling as a therapist. In each case, the journey was not smooth or guaranteed, but it was aligned. And that alignment brought a peace that no paycheck or applause ever could. The inner voice also dives into the relationship between fear and intuition. It's easy to confuse the two, especially when making life-changing decisions. But the book offers a beautiful distinction. Fear is loud and reactive, it pushes. The inner voice, on the other hand, is quiet and steady, it pulls. Fear says, "What if you fail?" Intuition says, "What if you thrive?" Fear rushes you, the inner voice waits. Fear speaks from the head, intuition speaks from the soul. Learning to differentiate between the two is a practice, one that requires slowing down, becoming intimate with your own patterns, and choosing faith over fear again and again. The author doesn't pretend that following the inner voice is easy. There are no promises of immediate success or comfort. Instead, the book gently reminds us that discomfort is often the path to expansion. Growth rarely comes without resistance. But the peace that comes from knowing you are on your path, not someone else's idea of it, is worth every moment of uncertainty. It's the kind of peace that allows you to sleep deeply at night, knowing that you are not betraying yourself for the sake of fitting in. What makes the inner voice deeply transformative is its understanding that this voice is not just about making decisions, it's about building a relationship with yourself. When you learn to listen to your inner voice, you become your own sanctuary. You stop outsourcing your worth to achievements or relationships. You begin to trust yourself, to forgive yourself, and to return to yourself whenever life pulls you away. In one particularly moving section, the author recounts a woman who spent decades chasing perfection, perfect body, perfect career, perfect family, only to realize she had never once asked herself what she truly wanted. Her transformation did not come from achieving more, but from sitting still, closing her eyes, and finally asking, "What do I need?" And then honoring the answer. The book also speaks to the idea that the inner voice evolves. It grows with us, just as we grow by listening to it. What felt true 5 years ago may not feel true today. This does not mean we were wrong, it means we are alive. Life is a constant unfolding, and the inner voice is not a fixed GPS but a living, breathing compass. It adjusts as we do. This realization frees us from perfectionism and gives us permission to change, to pivot, to outgrow. It reminds us that we are not meant to stay the same. Our souls crave evolution, and the inner voice is the bridge to that becoming. Through reflective questions, heartfelt anecdotes, and gentle encouragement, the inner voice becomes more than a book, it becomes a companion on your inward journey. It teaches you that your truth is not hidden somewhere far away. It's not in a guru, not in a podcast, not even in a book. It's already inside you. The work is not to find it, but to remember it. To clear the clutter of doubt, distraction, and disconnection until you can hear that quiet whisper again. One of the most emotionally resonant themes in the book is self-trust. So many of us have been conditioned to doubt ourselves, to believe that others know better, or that our inner knowing must be validated by someone else before it is real. But the inner voice gently but firmly asserts that you are the authority on your own life. No one else lives in your body, feels your emotions, or carries your dreams. Your job is not to explain your path to others, it's to walk it, one step at a time, with grace and courage. The author beautifully illustrates that the inner voice is also the voice of compassion. It does not shame, it does not criticize, it does not say, "You should have known better." Instead, it says, "It's okay. Begin again. You are still worthy. You are still becoming." This compassion becomes a balm in the moments we feel lost, broken, or ashamed. It reminds us that no mistake can separate us from our inner truth. That even in our darkest moments, the voice within remains, loving, guiding, unshaken. And perhaps the most important truth of all is this: the inner voice is not a luxury reserved for the spiritual elite, it is a birthright. Every human being, regardless of background, education, or belief, has access to this wisdom. It is the spark of the divine within us. And the more we listen, the louder it becomes, not in volume, but in clarity. Life becomes less about striving and more about aligning. Less about controlling and more about trusting. By the end of the inner voice, you are left not with a list of steps, but with a new awareness. An invitation to pause, to soften, to come home to yourself. You realize that the most important conversations are the ones you have in the quiet moments, when no one is watching, when the masks are off, and it's just you and your soul. Those are the moments when the real answers come, not the ones you were taught to seek, but the ones you already knew deep down. So if you find yourself at a crossroads, or in a season of confusion, or simply longing for a deeper connection with yourself, the inner voice reminds you that the guidance you need is already within. You are not lost. You are being called inward. And the voice that is calling you is your own. Listen closely, trust fully, and take the next step, not because someone told you to, but because your soul whispered, "This is the way." In the end, the inner voice is not a destination but a practice. A lifelong dance between listening and trusting, between being and becoming, between stillness and movement, and through it all, the voice remains, gentle, steady, and true, leading you not away from life, but deeper into it.